Hello everyone, welcome to the stream. Today we're going to play is maybe a strong word. Today we're going to experience Ars Magica, which is, I've heard it described as the hyper-detailed, all-encompassing medieval wizard simulator. It's one of those systems that I really like the idea of, but I've never been able to play or run, really. It is an older system. It was first published in the 80s, and we're on the 5th edition now. Though the 5th edition is pretty old. Hello, welcome. So we'll be looking at the definitive edition, which was kickstarted maybe even the year before last. It's been in the works for a little while, which essentially just compresses all of the errata and some of the supplements into the core rulebook. And excitingly, the entire text of the definitive edition is released under the Creative Commons license, so you can just get it online for free. Anyway, to summarize what Ars Magica is about, it's about playing a wizard in medieval Europe, but a medieval Europe where all the myths are true. You got 3rd edition when it was released. Wow, I was 2 years old then. You've got way more Ars Magic experience than I do. So yeah, it's about being a wizard in a medieval Europe when all the myths are true. And it's a fairly mechanically complicated game. But what you get from that is a super freeform magic system where you can make up your own spells, and really the sky's the limit in what you can do. So I have briefly played Ars Magica before, but unsuccessfully. So I was briefly in a campaign of Ars Magica. I made a Maga, that is a female wizard, because half of this game is in Latin, who hated the moon and wanted to destroy the moon. I can't remember why she hated the moon, but that was her goal. However, the campaign fell apart after 2 sessions because the GM found it a bit difficult to run. I tried running an Ars Magica game myself some years after that, but I wasn't a very good GM at the time. I was still fairly new to GMing, and it was a bit of a disaster. We kind of got bogged down in excessive historical realism, which is not fun, really. You know, if you spend half the session looking at Wikipedia to learn details about the specific coastal region of Scotland in the 1200s, that's not what anyone signed up for. But I do still maintain hope that one day I'll be able to actually play or run Ars Magica, and it will be fun and it will work out. Oh, if you've been trying since 1993, maybe I'll have to downgrade how hopeful I'm feeling about it. So essentially, the kind of conceit of the game is that certain people are born with the gift, which is the ability to perform magic. And the gift is kind of psychically off-putting. Gifted people feel wrong to mundane people. And so magic users tend to be shunned, they tend to be treated with hostility, and this even prevents magic users from getting on themselves because, if you have one wizard trying to work with another wizard, they'll each kind of be compelled to feel suspicious about the other. And this kind of hindered magical development for a very long time. But in the period in which the game is set, there is a Europe-spanning wizard community called the Order of Hermes, where they have kind of resolved this problem where they can magically shield themselves to not hate other wizards on sight. And so, by default, in Ars Magica, you're playing members of this order. Other wizards elsewhere in the world are available, but that's kind of a bit outside the default setting in most of the books, though there are many supplements covering these other wizards. There are 3 tiers of character in Ars Magica. So you have your wizards, your magi, who are big, the powerful, complicated characters. Every player will have one of those. You then have your companions. These are non-wizarding characters, but are still plot significant. And each wizard will have one companion, typically played by another player. So you might have a very indoorsy, somewhat frail wizard whose companion is a big, strong knight. And then, depending on the situation, maybe the wizard or the knight or both will go along. And the third tier is the grogs. And these are like your expendable red shirts. These are your like totally normal European peasants who are like fighters and cooks and farmers and so on. And their job is just to kind of go out in a blaze of glory or in a very funny way in an adventure, because you can kind of play them however you want, because these are insignificant characters and it doesn't matter if they die. The game has kind of an interesting way of running it, in that it assumes that there isn't going to be a fixed GM. I'm not sure how many Ars Magica groups actually did this, but at least the assumption in the rulebook is that you'll rotate the GMing role. So everyone will have a wizard, everyone will have a companion, there'll be this pool of shared grogs, and every session is just whoever wants to GM will, and you just kind of do that, just rotate the responsibility, which is quite an interesting way of doing it, I think. Another interesting thing about the system is that it's intended to cover a long period of time. So downtime is a big deal in Ars Magica. It's how you like spending months studying and researching spells and creating magic items and so on. It's how your wizard improves, how they prepare for things. And in most RPGs, or in many RPGs, we kind of play out nearly every waking moment of the characters' lives in like almost real time. Right, you know, people sometimes play like years-long D&D campaigns, and then once you actually work out how much time passed, you realize, oh, we did all this adventuring in like a couple of months. But in Ars Magica, in a single session of Ars Magica, you might have a year or more pass by. And that's kind of the gist of it, I guess. It's also a very player-driven system. Because the player characters are so powerful, really players need to have goals, because something I found when I tried running my Ars Magica campaign is the player characters didn't really have goals, and so I was trying to supply challenges every session, you know, as you would do in most systems, but the player characters are so powerful that it's kind of quite hard to do that. I found it very like creatively taxing. How do I not just have the same challenge come up week after week? Because let's say I introduced this whole subplot about a demon, and the player characters just like crush this demon in an hour. It's like, oh, okay, I thought this was going to be a significant antagonist, but no, the characters are just too powerful. So when I kind of pitched an Ars Magica campaign recently to my players, and sadly they didn't bite for it, but I gave them some suggestions of like what could be suitable character goals, and this ranges all the way from things like creating an interesting spell to show off to your local wizarding friends, all the way up to let's see, mind controlling the Pope, physically destroying the island of Great Britain, raising Atlantis from the sea, ascending to heaven as a pagan god, and so on and so forth. So there's a pretty wide range of things you can do in this system. So what we're going to do today is we're going to pick some location in Mythic Europe here. We're then going to make some characters. So characters that are pretty complicated in Ars Magica, so I don't think I'm going to make like 6 characters, but we're going to make a companion first. So maybe that knight I just plucked out of thin air will make the Magus they belong to. So maybe this like very bookish, frail wizard. We'll then make the Covenant, which is the kind of wizard base, as it's like a tower or a castle or wherever our wizards happen to live. We'll make some grogs, some of these minor characters, and then, you know, we can just maybe make more Magi, more companions, if we have time for that. I do have all the dice out, but this is entirely point buy, so we don't really need to be rolling dice to make characters, but, you know, it's sometimes handy to have dice to help choose between options. And I guess for our first choice, we could choose where in Mythic Europe we're going to be. So how many places have we got? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 coloured blobs, it looks like. So let's get these dice out the way and roll a d12, and that can be where we are. Eight. Okay, so that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, looks like we are in Bavaria. Let's put a little blob down. Let's say we're, I don't know, because it's in the middle, we're somewhere between, I think maybe we're like southeast of Augsburg, kind of towards the mountains. So let's say we're like down here. All right. This is probably an inconsequential choice, but you know, maybe mountains nearby will help inform things when we're making our base. So now let's make a companion. So we'll jump to the character creation rules. And the book is pretty good because it's essentially just the core rulebook for 5th edition, which is years old now, plus all the errata and stuff. But there are still, you know, some things that could be a little bit better. Like not all of these headings are in the PDF bookmarks, which is a bit of a shame. It's like this table is in the PDF bookmarks, but like none of the other headings in this chapter are. What am I looking for? I think I've scrolled past what I was looking for, actually. I want... Here we go, detailed character creation. So yes, this would be a great heading to have in the PDF bookmarks, but it is not there. And we'll be doing only some of this because we're going to start by making a companion, so we won't need to worry about all the wizard apprentice stuff. Okay, let's say that we are making a knight, and let's have them be... let's make it a little simple. Let's have this... So if they're older than 35, they have to make aging rolls. So we could make it... could be a little simple and say that they are 35. So just before we hit that threshold. We need a appropriate knightly name and not giant text. Let's see, German knightly names. Conrad, there we go. Okay, we have Sir Conrad, who is 35 years old. And we'll be working through this fairly slowly as it is quite complicated. Okay, it's a good idea to create companions at a fairly young age, under 30, so that they have several years of play in them. An old companion runs the risk of dying of old age. Okay, let's knock this person down to 29 then. We're not creating a child. And we have this nice summary here. Let's have this open in another copy of the PDF so we can quickly jump to it if need be. Right, virtues and flaws. So this was, I think this was like a really popular thing that RPG systems did once upon the time, where you make your character by choosing from a list of good things and a list of bad things and have to balance out. That feels like it's kind of faded out of popularity in recent decades, but Ars Magica definitely has that, and there are many of these virtues and flaws. Okay, so we need to start with, we need a social status. And we can have up to 10 points of flaws and a corresponding number of virtues. So you don't get something for nothing. You're as flawed as you are virtuous. Here's our list of virtues and flaws. So we'll need a social status. And we'll need up to 10 points. Every player should consider personality flaws and story flaws. Okay, let's note that down. And some skills, there's a big list of abilities, not skills, abilities. Some of these are locked behind having certain virtues and flaws. So since we're making a knight, we will need a appropriate virtue. Which may be our social status. Yes, if you want your character to be a knight with all the social standing that implies, you must take the knight social status. On the other hand, you do not need that virtue to be an armoured and mounted warrior, although you would need warrior or another virtue that gives you access to martial abilities. Okay, so we have an example. We got some, let's see. Okay, quick and easy virtues and flaws. Let's go with this. So for companions, take a major personality or story flaw. And, okay. Right, let's go over to the virtues and flaws list, which are chapter 4. So I'm not a big fan of these like 2-page chapter illustrations in the book. I personally think they look kind of bad. Yeah, not to be a downer, but they don't look great. They don't really fit in with the rest of the art in the book. But like they just look like characters pasted on a background. But let's not dwell upon that. It's just a little bit of a shame that they made this nice new definitive edition of the book, and I feel it's kind of let down a bit by these 2-page spreads at the start of every chapter. Okay, so we want a... Start with our social status virtue for our knight. Okay, we have a big list of them all. Social statuses don't appear to be a separate list. They're just kind of mixed in with all the others. Okay, let's just scroll through to find... here we go. I guess knight is not a major social status. It is a minor social status. Okay, let's find the knight virtue. So I think character creation, like for an actual Ars Magica campaign, will probably take quite a while with everyone sat around consulting these massive lists of virtues and flaws. Knight. Okay. Minor social status. You are a knight, a member of the noble classes, and one of the elite warriors of Europe. Unless you are poor, you may have high-quality weapons and armor and a horse. Typical armaments for a mid-13th century knight are lance, sword, heat shield, complete mail suit, and warhorse. You may take martial abilities during character generation. The wealthy virtue and poor flaw affect you normally. This virtue is only available to male characters and is compatible with the landed noble virtue. Okay, so this is a minor virtue, so I believe this costs 1 point. Let's have a look. There's something about their cost here. That's the... we need to get into the list of them. I believe major virtues cost 3 points, and major flaws give 3 points. Okay, it's summarized on page 61, and this 61 here is not a hyperlink, which is very sad. Okay, yes. Yes, 3 points for a major virtue, and you get 3 points for a major flaw. Minor virtues and flaws are 1 point, respectively. So our balance is currently -3. Let's have a look at the personality and story flaws, because these are all always fun. So these are flaws, but the idea is, you know, there's still something you want to see come up in play. If you don't want something to come up in play at all, you shouldn't pick it. The story flaws in particular, what makes them a story flaw as opposed to something else is that, you know, they cause stories to happen. So let's see, do we have an example of a story flaw? Yes, so an example of a story flaw might be the black sheep. You are the black sheep of the family. You know, bad things could happen because of that, or you could have a dark secrets or a deal with the devil. Or a major personality flaw could be gender non-conforming. So maybe this knight is actually a woman who is pretending to be a man so that she can act as a knight, which is otherwise a male-only role. And this is a major flaw because like being discovered would be a big problem for this character. Though I kind of like, I'm thinking either pagan or pious. They're kind of fun for the same reason, just approaching it from opposite directions. Let's just roll to see what we go for. 1 to 3, it's going to be pagan. Okay, our character has the major personality flaw of pagan, so let's find that. You do not follow the teachings of the church and have never been baptized. This tends to upset those in authority in Mythic Europe and frighten common people who learn of it. You do not observe Christian holidays, and you try to avoid churchmen and the dominion, which is kind of the power of God on Earth. Because God is objectively real in this setting. You cannot pretend to go along with society, however, because you believe that it would displease your gods and incur their wrath. You might suffer grave supernatural consequences if you take communion or appear to worship gods other than your own. Okay, so we can't even pretend to be Christian. You may begin with magic law or fairy law, depending on the specifics of your faith. All right. Okay. And pious is the other one I was considering, which is you're a fervent follower of your religion. You avoid the things it prohibits and enthusiastically do the things it commands. Yeah, let's go with pagan. So that leads to an interesting question. Who knighted me if I am a pagan knight? You know, generally knights have to swear like oaths before God and so on. Okay, he also suggested having a story flaw. Maybe not a major one because we've just got a major thing, but let's have a look. Let's just quickly skim through. I love how many marriageable daughters is a story flaw. I think this is the perfect example of a story flaw. The character has a lot of daughters and needs to participate in stories to marry them off suitably. In most sagas, this flaw is most suitable for characters of high social status, as their stories are more likely to involve the Covenant and thus other characters. I think this is a great flaw because it's not a bad thing, really, to have many marriageable daughters. You know, it means you are a person of high social status who other high social status people want to like get close with. Like, your life must be going pretty well if you're in this situation, but it is a flaw because it is a thing that causes adventures to happen, and that's what flaws are in Ars Magica. Like, virtues basically are just like they give you things or they make you better in a certain way. Flaws make adventures happen. Yes, definitely interesting situations. Not really sure, and none of these story flaws really really fits. Really feel maybe Wanderlust. What about the other? What about the minor story flaws? Visions, possibly. They could be visions from whatever weird pagan god I worship. Maybe I had a feral upbringing, although then that just raises the question even further how I became a knight. I was like raised in the woods by wolves worshipping pagan gods. Rolling Stone, that's got to be a Sisyphus related thing, right? The Rolling Stone gathers no moss, and neither does this character. She has moved from village to village so often that she finds it difficult to create attachments in the community. All social roles have a -1 penalty within the community. Ah, okay, not what I thought it was going to be. I know. Let's go look at the virtues. Maybe we can kind of alternate picking them. So we have a knight as our big virtue. And we're a pagan knight, so something kind of fitting to that. I don't think we're like a magic user. I think we just worship weird pagan gods. Yeah, maybe fairy friend. Let's get that. You have an ally among the Fae. How much assistance you can get depends on the power of the friend. A small fairy with relatively minor powers can accompany you on a day-to-day basis. Powerful fairies have other business and may only be available to answer questions and provide guidance, not to accompany you around on your adventures. Your ally is fully sentient, has its own powers, and can speak when it chooses. You may want to have another player act the part. While a fairy companion can be a great boon, it can also be a terrible burden. If it is nasty or mischievous, it could cause trouble for you everywhere. Okay, yeah, let's take this guy. So I'm now on 4 points of flaws. Let's jump back to the virtues. So we have our social status. We cannot take a hermetic one because we do not have the gift. We could potentially take a supernatural one. Let's see what the just the general ones are. I mean, falls like a cat could potentially be something knightly. I assume that means I've just got like really good reflexes. Oh, there's also a lightning reflexes. What is falls like a cat then? Okay, the character is not injured by falls of up to 3 times his height or 6 times his height if he can soften his fall by catching on windowsills, breaking through awnings, or hitting branches on the way down. At greater heights, the character suffers impact damage of +1 for every additional foot if landing on a hard surface. Okay, let's go with the lightning reflexes then. Which is here. You respond to surprises almost instantly. In fact, your reflexes are sometimes so fast that you don't have a chance to think about how you're going to respond. Okay, whenever you are surprised or startled, roll a stress die plus quickness. If you get a 3 or better, you respond reflexively. Okay, and then you can do something like attacking, blocking, running, and so on. Okay, and this is still balanced. We could potentially add some more points in. We have up to 10 points that we can use. We don't need to, fill everything out. Potentially go for a minor personality flaw. So we have a major one, which is being a pagan. But maybe... I might just keep this character as is. Maybe this is good for our first character, as they're pretty simple, quite straightforward. So we just have 2 virtues and 2 flaws. They're a knight with lightning reflexes, but they are a pagan and have some sort of minor fairy as a friend who sometimes goes on adventures with them. Right, characteristics. This is now point by, so we start with 7 points to spend. Okay, so, I mean, we'll definitely want quickness if we have lightning reflexes, given that it was a quickness roll. So maybe we want to like max out our quickness. Maybe we want to go for 3 quickness. Costing 6 points. We have 1 point left, which means we're going to need to put some stuff in the negative. Maybe we're quite dumb. We're not smart at all. Like maybe we're strong and fast, and that's kind of our thing. I don't know. Let's go for -1 intelligence. Let's just have a look. What is best for like fighting? Let's turn to the combat section, which is in the obstacles chapter, which does not have hyperlinks inside it. Okay, so quickness, endurance, dexterity. Oh, dexterity and quickness are different. Okay, cool. Yes, quickness, endurance, dexterity, and strength, and stamina. Basically all of them, really. Okay, we have some sample characteristics for different sorts of upbringings. Oh, no. These are sample abilities, not sample characteristics. We don't have any sample characteristics, but there are some sample characters further back in this chapter, so let's find those. Character templates, here we go. Okay, so I have a berserker here. I think we're not really a berserker. Grizzled veteran. Standard soldier. Standard soldier or tough guy is probably what we're like. So they have -1 intelligence, 0 perception. Okay, presence, they can be different in how present they are. 0 communication or -1 communication. I guess the tough guy he doesn't talk much, but he's like big and imposing perhaps. Okay, yeah, let's fill in the ones that we don't really need. So we don't really need intelligence or communication. So we're on 3 points left at the moment. Guess we can put in a 0 for perception. Let's go for maybe the +3 in quickness is a bit much. Do these sample characters have a +3 in anything? The tough guy has a +3 stamina. Oh, this guy's got a +5. That must be from a virtue, surely. Ah, here we go, a knight. Let's go with this. Maybe we'll tweak it slightly. So we have 0 intelligence, 0 perception, +1 presence. It's a little annoying that the character sheet order is different from the description order here. We have a +1 communication, +1 strength, +1 stamina, +2 dexterity, and +2 quickness. Let's check that this works. I see. Okay, this is going to be too much because they have an improved characteristics virtue, so maybe we'll need to take that. Let's see what this works out as. So we have 7 -1 -1 -1 -1 -1 -3 -3. Okay, so we're 3 points over. So let's go back to that virtues list. We have improved characteristics. You have an additional 3 points to spend on buying characteristics. Okay. Okay, let's get this one then. Improved characteristics. which means we need another flaw. Let's see what this knight has as an example. Oath of fealty, proud, overconfident. Let's go to the start of our virtues chapter. Okay, right. So let's figure out another flaw. Oath of fealty, proud, and overconfident. We need another major, I think. Improved characteristics. Oh, improved characteristics is only a minor virtue, so we need another minor flaw. Okay, that's not so bad. How about we are... Maybe we're ambitious. We know that we're very good at what we do with our lightning reflexes. We worship like the old gods, and we have this fairy friend. It feels like it could be like an ambitious person. So that would be a minor personality flaw. Maybe we could go for a minor general flaw. Let's see. We could be horribly disfigured. They're both kind of fun, either ambitious or disfigured. Let's see. We are disfigured. But only in a minor way. A visible disfigurement makes you ugly and easy to recognize. Presence rolls that involve good looks and gaining respect from most people are at -3. You probably have a cruel nickname that refers to your unfortunate appearance. You might have a large visible burn scar or an enlarged and deformed eye, or even be albino. Ooh, I like that. Maybe we're albino. Maybe that's why we have a weird religion and a fairy friend. Maybe we were abandoned as a child because of our, ghostly white skin and like red eyes, and like it's a changeling. And we were left out in the woods and raised by some kindly witch or something. Okay, I think that's good. All right, that's characteristics and virtues and flaws. Next we have abilities. So we will start with the childhood. And we'll start with, let's say, an athletic childhood. We'll start with athletics 2. And I believe we also start with a specialty, but we can come back to those. We'll have Brawl 2. Native language 5. I guess my native language is... If this is happening in... like in Bavaria, somewhat near Augsburg, I guess if we're in the Alps, our native language is either going to be like Austrian or possibly Italian, because we could have come from either side. Let's see, Austrian or Italian? Austrian. Place of origin, Austria. Oh, I've given myself a German name. Yes. Yes, that's fine. Yes, all good. So native language 5. We have swim 2. Okay, that's our childhood. So this is up to age 5. We've learned these things. Now we have 15 experience points per year. Up to 29. So we have 360 experience points to spend. So one way to do this would be to kind of work this out year by year. Because if we just kind of work with the full pool of experience points at the end, we might end up with some slightly weird skills, where as if we've kind of been training some like very specialized skill from like a very young age. But I think working out year by year is going to be kind of dull. So we'll just work out what we're doing with these 360 experience points. Here we go. And I guess we started with 15 experience points in our level 2 skills. And what is this, level 5? 75. There. No, it says 45 experience points. Oh yes, characters gain 75 experience points in their native language, which normally gives them a score of 5, and 45 experience points to divide between different things. Okay. Alright, 360 XP. Let's get the big list of abilities up. And yes, we do have specializations, but we can leave those, I guess. We can take martial abilities because we are a knight, so we've had a martial upbringing. Let's see. And let's get our table up as well. Let's just copy. We'll copy this table over here, as we'll be referring to this a lot. Okay, I guess let's start with our martial abilities. So we have bows, great weapon, single weapon, and thrown weapon. Okay, using bows and arrows. Great weapon is then... Scrolled past it. Great weapon. Fighting with a weapon which requires 2 hands to use. Okay, that's what a great weapon is. I'm just like looking at time and thinking, wow, my thinking of maybe we'll make like 2, possibly even 3 pairs of characters. That was a bit ambitious. I think we'll make a companion. We'll make a mage. We'll make a covenant, and that's probably going to be it. Okay. I'm not sure about great weapons. What about single weapons? Get the list of skills again. Abilities, rather. I'm going to keep calling them skills. Okay, let's, yeah, single weapon, I think. Maybe bows as well. Fighting with a weapon used in one hand, possibly with a shield in the other. This includes lances used as intended from horseback. Okay, let's go for... Let's look at an example character again to see what, like, a sensible... sensible, like, skill level for a knight would be. So here we've got our sample character, and they have great weapon 5, single weapon 5, +2. Okay, so I guess 5 is where we want to be. It's going to be... Let's move our swim down. Let's keep this somewhat alphabetized. Okay, single weapon of 5. That's 75 points spent. 285 to go. Let's see what else this person has. I feel probably the way to like make an Ars Magica character for like the first time you're playing would be to basically take and tweak one of these sample characters. This person actually has the wealthy virtue, so they have way more XP to spend than we would. So we're not going to be as good a knight as this knight. So yes, we're probably not going to pick up the great weapon, and maybe not the leadership and stuff as well. But I guess we'll want... we'll probably want animal handling, definitely athletics, brawl. Yeah, let's get like a brawl of... Let's bump our brawl up to 5. So that's gonna cost another 60 XP. $225 to go. Athletics. General physical prowess. It includes moving smoothly, confidently, and with grace. Use of athletics improves most large muscle coordination. Okay, let's go for... oh, we already have the 2 in athletics. Do we want more? Yeah, they've got 2 in it. That's fine. Okay, let's go for... animal handling, I think. This feels a very knightly thing to have. Maybe we are good with dogs. You know, like hunting dogs and that sort of thing, which there is a separate hunting skill, but maybe we're particularly good with dogs. So let's take animal handling dogs. At, let's say, 2. We'll take awareness. Noticing things, be they things you're looking for, things you are not expecting. There's also to see how alert you are in circumstances that require watchfulness. Yep, that seems very fitting for a knightly character. So we'll have awareness of... I feel like actually high awareness kind of fits with our vibe of like really good reflexes. So let's go with, yeah, 5. We have 135 points to spend. We should have at least something in etiquette and hunt, I think. Probably also something in survival, assuming that's like outdoor survival. So yeah, let's go with etiquette 2, hunt 2, survival 2. Which gets us down to 90 XP to go. What does the good knights from the book have? Okay, intrigue, leadership. Yeah, leadership, we definitely want that, I think. Okay, let's have leadership and ride. Let's add those. And maybe also chirurgy for battlefield wounds, which I think they also have. Yes. Okay, let's start with whatever it was I said. Leadership and ride. Yes, let's add those. We'll start them at level 2. Okay, we have 60 points left, which maybe we want to kind of bump some of these up a little bit rather than have lots of things at level 2. So maybe we want to be slightly better at leadership, given that we're, a knight. So we've got 2 now. We could bump it up to a level 3, which would cost 15 more. Get us down to 45. Could maybe do the same with... yeah, let's see what exactly survival did, because I assume this was just outdoor survival, but I didn't actually check. Survival, finding food, water, shelter. Okay, yep. I think survival 2 is kind of okay, because we'll probably be traveling out with other people, like an actual hunter or something. So let's bump up our hunt. Hunt is a very knightly thing to do. That's what knights do. And we have 30 points left. We could take that chirurgy because being able to deal with battlefield wounds is handy. I was thinking, let's look at my virtues and things. Maybe carousing, actually, because we know that. So this knights, we know that they were raised somewhat outside of normal knightly society because they are a disfigured pagan. We don't have any abilities really relating to like knowing things about nobles. I mean, we have a bit of etiquette, but that's it. So we are a bit of an outsider. So maybe carouse makes sense. Maybe we see ourselves as kind of one of the guys sometimes. Let's go for carouse. Carouse 2. That'll use up 15 points. And then we can bump up one of these 2s to a 3. Let's bump up Athletics, 2 or 3. Okay. I believe that's all of our skill points used up. What next? So we don't have the apprenticeship because we're not a Margus. Personality. Choose a few words to describe your character's personality and attach a value between -3 and +3 to each. So this isn't a point buy thing. This is just kind of how strong we think these are, and we can choose to roll against them if we want, but we're not required to. So personality. I think okay, warrior should have a score in brave. Makes sense. These are just a role-playing guide, but we can roll rather on them if we want. Let's go with brave. Sure, +3. We don't have any specific virtues or flaws that would suggest we're not brave. I think maybe having something around that carousing is good. Like friendly. Oh, is that really a personality trait? Like, would I ever roll for friendliness? Probably not. Like, it could help offset my being albino. Let's go for affable. And give this a +1, because we do have the penalty of being an albino, which puts people off. What's our sample character got here? Brave, overconfident, and proud. They've specifically got overconfident and proud as flaws. Do any of our flaws here maybe apply? Not really. Okay, let's go for brave, affable, and confidence, which is kind of like brave, but not quite the same. Doing affable 1, brave 3, and go for confident 3. Okay, characters only start with a reputation. They have a virtual flaw that grants one, so we don't have a reputation. Then we start with a confidence score of 1 and 3 confidence points. Where does that go? Is that over? Nope, that's magic. That's spells. Ah, here we go, confidence. I guess it's only one box to note down both, so we have 3 points and score of 1. Equipment, we can start with any equipment you might have reasonably acquired and retained over your career. Okay, we probably should work out what equipment we've got, because that will affect our like all of our weapon stats and so on. So let's see, what does this person have? Maybe we can just copy the equipment they've got. So we could go for a longsword and a heater shield. I see we have different things when you're mounted or not. We've got fist. Okay, let's find equipment. Not sure where that is. Ah, here we go. The armor and melee table in the obstacles chapter. Okay, I guess we have full chainmail. Let's say we've got that. So that gives us a soak of 9 and a load of 6. And then let's have a sword of some sorts and a heater shield. We can also note down our fist, I suppose, but let's see. A longsword. Longsword plus heater shield. Okay, so this gives a +2 to our initiative. A +4 to our attack. We have a +4 from both our weapon and our shield together for our defense. And a +6 for our damage. With a total load of 3. Okay, right. That's what we've got. That's our stuff. How does encumbrance work? Oh no, the index is not hyperlinked. This is terrible. Okay, encumbrance. 403. All right. Right, so our total load is 9. Which means we have 3 burden. I have positive strength. I have +1 strength. That means that my encumbrance is the amount by which my burden exceeds my strength. Let's see, so was that 9, did I say? So I have a load of 9, which is a burden of 3, which means an encumbrance of 2. Okay, and then what does that mean? This penalizes some rolls, but not attack and defense. Okay. Is there a place to note down my encumbrance? Don't think so. No, okay, let's just note down here. Okay, we've made a character. That was pretty intense. It took like an hour. Let's not jump straight into making another more complicated character. Let's make our Covenant. Our wizard base, which is somewhere in the Alps, like around here. So Covenants also use the kind of virtues and flaws system, but there's less that goes into it because they are simpler than characters. So the Covenant is your wizard base. It's also kind of a character in its own right because it's like a shared character. It's as it says here, the character's home, their secure base, the place where they study, improve and create magical wonders. It's going to feature in like most sessions, so it is important to get it right. And what I'm thinking, since we're in the mountains, is we have a like castle in the mountains with towers. That's kind of what I'm picturing, and maybe there's a nearby dragon. Right, so I'm thinking it's going to be... so Covenants kind of get categorized by power level, so we have Spring Covenants, which are like newly established, relatively weak and poor. I think maybe we'll go for Spring Covenants. We have Summer Covenants, which are kind of like well established, quite wealthy and powerful now. We have Autumn Covenants, which are like fantastical places of great power. And then we have Winter Covenants, which are basically a shadow of their former glory. Everything's very weird, and things might be dangerous and hidden away. And we also have some situations which are kind of like suggested virtues and flaws, pretty much, for how you might want to make them. Which maybe we'll go for that. I'm also just gotta highlight this character here. What is this fashion sense? What is these like elbow length purple gloves that match his like purple robe thing? No one else is dressed like that around the table. Okay, let's go for I'm not super sold on any of these situations. Like Mundane Lord is okay. Says the Covenant has become the Lord of a number of mundanes. So there's kind of politics involved, but I don't know. I'll just make something up. So we'll go for like a weak Covenant, because if we're going for a newly established Spring Covenant, it does scream Evil Wizard, yeah. Especially that mustache. What mustaches do the others have? The others all have more sensible facial hair. I think the long mustache and the like forehead gem and the weird fashion sense, definitely Evil Wizard. There we go. We know what's on his mind. Okay, let's make a Covenant. And there's a number of wizards in our Covenant, but we've not made them. So it's all fine. Right, let's go over here and just note things down. It's not how you spell Covenant. So don't need the background color anymore. Okay. So I think it's going to be a low power. Let's say 300 build points. So the upper end of low, but, low. It's going to be relatively newly established, I guess. So build points are what we use to buy books and so on. But I guess we should probably start with the hooks and so on first, because those can affect our build points. Okay, so hooks. We have hooks and flaws, which are like virtues and flaws, but for our wizard base. And as before, we have major and minor ones, which cost or provide 1 or 3 points, as before. Okay, so hooks. It's in the mountains, so we're pretty secure, I guess. The hooks are kind of the more negative things. Maybe a monster. So a powerful supernatural creature lives near the Covenant. The creature can't be aligned with any realm and shouldn't be too powerful for the player character to defeat. And should be too powerful for the player character to defeat at the start of the campaign. Maybe we have a dragon. This is a minor hook. The major hook for the monster would be a powerful mythical creature lives inside the Covenant. Okay, I don't think we have a dragon living inside the Covenant. Maybe we have a dragon living nearby, near enough to be a pain. So a dragon lives nearby. This has given us 1 point. I think we might be poor because we're a newly established wizard community in the mountains. That doesn't seem like a place of great wealth, potentially. I do like the idea of us being a castle, though. A castle is a major hook because like the mundane authorities don't really like it when people just show up and build a castle. Let's say road as well as a minor one. So the Covenant is on an important mundane road, river, or sea route, so that people often turn up at the Covenant, bringing or causing stories. So let's say that we are on like a mountain pass. So we have like our mountains like here, and our Covenant is this beautiful castle over here, and which is all perfectly drawn to scale, as you can see. And there's like a path that kind of goes through here, and so we're kind of like visible from this mountain pass, and people will often like stop by. That's the sort of situation I think we're in. The major variant of the road hook is that the Covenant is on an important mystical trail of some kind, so that supernatural creatures often turn up at the Covenant. I don't think I want that. So yeah, just being like very clearly visible from a often used mountain pass, I think is good. All right, and then we have boons. So we have 5 points of hooks to spend. Not bonds, boons. And then once we've made these, we can look at the like the Covenant templates it had earlier on and see how far off the mark we are. So I have minor boons and major boons. tower keep. Most tower keeps were built during the 12th century and are generally 4 stories high and square or rectangular. Entry is via an external stairway to the 2nd floor. The keep is usually topped with crenellated battlements. I do like a good tower. The Great Tower of the Covenant is surrounded by a courtyard, which contains wooden or stone buildings of no tactical value. The courtyard's wall is made of thick stone. It's about 30 feet high. It's topped with a crenellated wall. A small tower, 2 stories high, defends the gates. Okay, let's go for a tower keep. So, we are very well defended here, and our Covenant looks exactly like this. We will need a second minor boon as well, because we can't make 5 out of 3s. Let's look at the major boons. So there's a fairly limited number of things here, actually. I believe there is a Covenant's supplement that was published earlier for the 5th edition line. Let's have a quick look at that. Here we go, we've got our evil wizard on the cover here, and this doesn't have PDF bookmarks, so it's the wrong size. Also, this doesn't have PDF bookmarks, and the table of contents isn't hyperlinked. I can't be bothered to look through this. Okay, so we have relatively few boons for Covenants, I guess. Let's go for an aura. So if we increase the magical aura, and we take this multiple times, our spells will be more effective, our magical research will be more effective, everything we do as wizards will be better. So it's good getting this. So as a baseline, we start off in a place with a magical aura of 3. After it gets to 5, people start developing strange magical mutations. So I think it's worth taking this twice to get to 5. Okay, which means we have 2 points left over. What fits a castle? We could just get rid of the tower keep, I suppose. I just put that because it was fun. Kind of fit with the tower idea. But if we got rid of the tower keep, we then have space for a major boon. Or we could get a major boon and another minor hook, perhaps. Let's go for hidden resources. Oops. We can get this twice as well. Sure, why not? Okay, that evens out. So we have... So our Covenant is going to start with 300 build points worth of stuff, but we now have 500 build points worth of stuff in addition to that is not immediately accessible. I'm thinking this may be like natural resources or something that we can exploit from the area, or maybe the dragon is protecting like a source of magical like magical juice. If we deal with a dragon, we can get access to this stuff, perhaps. Yeah. Let's go with that. Okay. Right. And then we have resources. So we have our library. Whis is kind of like physical magic, so Whis is very useful. 5 build points per pawn of Whis per year. Transit items, specialist NPCs. Let's see what it suggests for a weak covenant. Okay. A bunch of books. Including books on spells. Yeah, let's start with this as a baseline. Then we'll have 100 build points left over. So we have 3 art summe, so books that will help us practice our magical arts. Different levels and qualities. We have 1 ability summer. And 4 Tractatus. And we'd actually need to work out, or decide what these are for, but I guess we can just kind of leave it unfleshed out for now. Similarly, we have 200 levels of spells. I think we'll have more Whis sources. Right, okay, so that is 200 build points. We have 100 left to go. So, what could we get? We could get more books. So essentially you can get specialists here, but it's kind of vague about how much they cost. So it says explains what a teacher costs, but not about, say, like a non-specialist. Oh no, here it is. It's on the following page. Okay, the specialist costs the highest ability score. So we could get maybe some specialists in some of the more like rare abilities, perhaps. Like if we've got like a specialist scribe or something, that could be useful. Or we have like a pet philosopher living in a cave. But I think probably the obvious choice is getting more Whis sources or pawns of Whis. I mean, we could be rolling in Whis we could get up to 24 pawns a year if we spent the extra 100 build points just on Whis sources. That's like more than we could really use. I suppose it's never more than you can really use. Yeah, let's just go for that. Let's just say we are like rolling in magical power here. Like the surrounding mountains are very rich in the area, very very rich in it, and there's a dragon nearby, maybe guarding even more. Okay, so we have our castle in the mountains on a pass between Italy and Austria. We're kind of a little bit off the road, but visible from the road, so we get people showing up a lot. And yeah, we have a big castle, which the local lords don't really like, but we're maybe a bit too far away from them to actually do anything. Or at least do anything immediately. Okay, that is our covenant. So next, we want to actually make a wizard, which involves getting into all the spell stuff. But first, I'm going to go and stretch my legs and top up my drink. I'll be back in a moment. Okay, I am back. Just curious about what sort of just add some grogs to our covenant. Who might be here? We'll need at least one guard. I just searched for Austrian peasant names, so let's just go for. We have, let's say, the captain of our guard is called Friedrich. We'll have a cook called Jorg. There's actually an umlaut on the O, but I don't know how to type that. And we'll have a. Let's say we've got like a carriage driver who would go to like the nearby like market town called Leopold. Okay, there are some of our NPCs at this covenant whose duty is to die horribly and dramatically and amusingly in the course of our adventures. But now we get into the real meat of character creation, which is making a wizard. Let's say this character is going to be Italian, because we are on the border with Italy. And I like the kind of thing I just threw out at the beginning, and maybe we have like a very like frail, not particularly frail, just a very like non-combatant wizard with their knight companion. So let's say this is an Italian, a very bookish Italian woman called Beatrice. Let's jump back to character creation. Okay, right. So, new players should create magi who are just out of apprenticeship. Okay, an apprenticeship lasts until you're 25? Let's see. So early childhood is until you're 5, and then apprenticeship is 15 years. Okay, so this character will be 20. Again, we shall start with 3 confidence points, but we have a score of 1. I believe that's how I notated that. Yep. Okay, right. Let's jump back to the beginning. Okay, right, we need a house. A very bookish person. It could be either like bookish or like an animal enjoyer. I'm thinking. So Bjornair could be an animally. Well, Bjornair is the kind of animally house. It's the house of people who can turn into animals. But I'm not really feeling that. I'm thinking just someone who is like good with animals, who does animal related magic, but is not themselves like a shapeshifter. Maybe House Bonisargus and kind of fits with someone who, you know, spends a lot of time reading books and doing research. In the Ars Magica lore, Bonisargus was the guy who developed magic theory. He's kind of the reason this whole thing worked. And when it says we just get a free ability from this, we have a powerful magic theory. So let's go to our virtues and copy that. It's going to be ability. Yeah. I think. because there isn't a separate magic theory one, right? Yeah, no, it's powerful magic theory isn't a separate virtue. It's a special case of powerful ability. Which is a little, confusingly denoted. It should really say like powerful ability, magic theory, but it does not. That's a shame. Let's just note that we've got that, and it is free for us. You're particularly adept with one ability and add 2 to its value whenever you use it. Okay. Right, so we got that for free. And then back to stuff. Okay, so we have to take the social status Hermetic Magus, which is free as well. You're a member of the Order of Hermes. All Magi must take this as their social status, and only Magi may take it. Alright, so what does it say that we should do as a Magus? You may take up to 10 points of flaws and an equal number of virtues, just like the companions. You may not have more than 5 minor flaws. You may not have more than 1 major hermetic virtue. You must take the gift and the Hermetic Magus social status virtue. You receive 1 free minor virtue from your house of choice. Yep, got that. You should take at least 1 hermetic flaw. Okay, so let's copy this guidance over. Let's put it there. Okay, right. So you must take the gift. So this is a special virtue. It doesn't fall into any of the categories. It just means that we are a magic person. So Magi, you can see, already start with like 3 free virtues, whereas our companion, we had to pay for all of these virtues with flaws. Okay, right. We have the gift. We have Hermetic Magus. We got that. Let's cross that out. We've got our free one. You should take at least 1 hermetic flaw. Let's do that. Hermetic flaws. We have major ones, and do we have minor ones? No, all hermetic flaws are major flaws. What on earth are monastic vows hermetic? You have taken vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience to a religious superior, which means you can't own Whis, which is like physical raw magic, and must only possess functional magic devices. You cannot marry, and many Magi might interpret that as prohibiting binding a familiar. You must do what your master commands in service of your order, though in return you can expect aid and assistance when needed. I don't like that one. It's kind of interesting. I could see it working for a religious-themed character, but not really what I'm picturing for this. I don't want the blatant gift, because that makes animals hate you, and that doesn't fit the vision of a character who's good with animals. So maybe we go for... difficult longevity ritual will be kind of an easy one to pick now, because I'm not actually playing this character. That kind of makes it like a cop-out. Thinking possibly Waster of Whis Or maybe, what is the constant expression? Does that mean like magic is constantly happening around me? The Marga forms the center of a magical maelstrom, perpetually casting non-fatiguing spontaneous magic effects. The resulting effects are minor due to the nature of non-fatiguing spontaneous magic, but are likely to cause distraction and/or other problems. Though non-fatiguing, the effort of marshalling the magic into less dangerous forms is tiring, and the Marga is considered to have lost one long-term fatigue level which cannot be regained through sleep. The effects produced by the constant expression may target anything that Marga could normally target with a spontaneous spell, including herself. Okay. That sounds like a really bad flaw. I know it's a major flaw, but it sounds like really major. Let's see. Rigid magic. Can't use Weiss when you use spells. No. Study requirement. You're unable to study magic from books or Weiss alone. You must study in the present. Yeah, I like this one. Study requirement. You're unable to study magic from books or Weiss alone. You must study in the presence of the appropriate art. For example, you need to sit next to a brook or pond to study aquam, or a large fire to study ignem. Growing things are good for creo, decaying ones are good for perdo. As your knowledge grows, you need to work with larger and larger quantities. Okay, I like this because it kind of fits with a character who goes out and interacts with animals a lot. You know, if she wants to study animal magic, she needs to actually, like, be with animals. She can't just, do it herself. So we got study requirement, so that gives us around +3 points here. That's not free, so we'll get a virtue to balance this out as well. And it's a major. Okay, cool. Let's look at other flaws. Flaws are fun. Thinking like someone who's not good with people, someone who is good with animals. It should probably be a personality flaw, like really shy or something. Shy doesn't appear to be a personality flaw. That's interesting. I like how optimistic is a flaw. Oversensitive, I guess, is what I'm looking for here. Something that others find merely unpleasant, you consider intolerable. Examples might include an oversensitivity to disrespect, to slovenliness, or to impiety. If you are the violent type, you may start fights with those who offend you. No, it's not really what I'm thinking. Maybe it's not a personality flaw. Possibly Wanderlust? I'm wandering the mountains, talking to animals, and so on and so forth. Hedge wizard. I don't think I'm a hedge wizard. And there are minor hermetic ones, which I totally missed. For some reason, I expect them to be on a separate page. But I do like the study requirement, so we're gonna stick with that one. Okay, reclusive is a personality flaw. It is a minor one. So let's go with that. You do not like being disturbed or interrupted. You feel that an interruption by another upon your time is unnecessary at best and an insult at worst. You are very reluctant to be dragged into public places or group activities and generally complain when you must participate. Wow, it's like it's me. Note that this is often a bad flaw for a player character unless there's a good reason why that character needs to stay out of play most of the time. Okay. Well, it's fine. This is just a fun character we're making because we want to. So that is a minor flaw, so we're now on 4 points of flaws. Maybe go for a story flaw as well. Says you should not take more than one story flaw. Which suggests we should take one, probably. Maybe. Animal companion could fit. Like, we've got an animal companion now. We've got an animal companion and a human companion. Our human companion has a fairy companion. So, like, we're just collecting all of the possible companions, like Pokemon. You're accompanied by a loyal, intelligent, but mundane animal that can obey simple commands. Your relationship with it is very close. If it should die, you'd be profoundly upset. I think this animal companion is a... collared dove. Which is this sort of guy. So we have one of these. I don't know how long they live, so this might be a bad choice of an animal companion. But it's what we've got. Let's see, lifespan. Okay, they only live for 3 years. Oh, in the wild, they typically live around 3 years, but they can occasionally live up to 10 to 17 years. In captivity, there is a known record of 29 years. Okay. Okay, so they can live a pretty long time. Evil. Evil! Look at this guy. This is not an evil pigeon. But okay, so they can live for a while if looked after, so that's good. Maybe they're a fine animal companion. Right, okay, so we're now on 5 points of flaws. Anything else we want for flaws, perhaps? So we've got a story flaw. We have one personality flaw, one minor personality flaw. We could potentially take another minor one. But I don't know. Let's go for something like soft-hearted or something, perhaps. Could maybe fit. You cannot bear to witness suffering, and causing it brings you sleepless nights. Even the deaths of enemies are painful for you. You avoid danger. Try to keep your friends out of it as well. Life and health mean so much that you would rather give up important goals than let another person risk combat. You're easily moved by song and story. Sure, let's go for that. We're getting a complete wimp. Someone who doesn't really like being around people, but when they are around people, they can't bear to see suffering. They're accompanied everywhere by a collared dove, and they spend time out in nature with the animals, studying them to improve their magic. Right, okay. I think that's probably good, unless we want to take like another major flaw to get like another 3 points or something, but otherwise kind of diluting the flaws a bit here. This is how a quick look through the general major flaws to see if there's anything we particularly want. Could be a repellent dwarf with leprosy and low self-esteem. What does low self-esteem do? Why is that a major flaw? You have a deflated opinion of your own self-worth. You begin the name with no confidence score. Never have any confidence points. Okay, so confidence points, these things we have 3 of. You can spend these to get a +3 on a roll. And we'll kind of recover these as time goes by. The score, which is the 1 in brackets, is, I believe, the maximum number of points we can spend on a single roll. So by default, play characters, they have 3 points. They can spend up to 1 at a time on a roll for a +3. If this score ever goes up, you can spend like 2 at a time to get a +6. So not having confidence is a pretty big hindrance. I see why that's a major flaw. I think let's stick with this. So we can't study magic just from books. We have to actually be with the thing, like a bonfire or a field of cows. We don't like being around people. We're very soft-hearted. We have a fancy bird with us, and but we are a hermetic marker. We can do magic. We are particularly good at magic theory. And we down to get 6 points of virtues on top of that. So definitely something related to animals, because the whole character's concept is about avoiding people and doing things with animals. So maybe we are really good with animal magic. Let's see, flawless magic. Oh, that was page 81. You automatically master every spell you learn. Pretty good. Or, the gentle gift. I think we want the gentle gift. So, unlike other Magi, whose magical nature disturbs normal people and animals, your gift is subtle and quiet. You do not suffer the usual penalties when interacting with people and animals. So, I think that's a good one to take. I'll see if there's a minor one that just helps with animals, because I'd also be willing to go with that one. Unless the inoffensive to beings lets us do that, I guess I'll go for the major virtue. So inoffensive to beings. Now we have alluring and inoffensive. Okay, inoffensive to beings. This virtue is associated with one of the 5 classes of beings: animals, divine beings, fairies, demons, or magical creatures. The character's gift does not bother beings of this sort, although it still has the normal effects on others. Okay, cool. For example, inoffensive to animals makes it easy for her to get along with mundane beasts. Okay, I'm going to take inoffensive to animals as a minor virtue. Oh my god, I just can't type. Okay, and I want this because I don't mind if like people still find my character off-putting, but definitely they want animals to like them. So we'll go with that. Maybe we can pick a different hermetic major virtue instead then. Let's just keep that list open and go to a separate. Tab. What on earth is leper, Magus? I normally don't think of lepers as a good thing. Okay, you need to be a mage in House Titulus who has leprosy. That's not me. What about major magical focus? Your magic is much more potent in a fairly limited area, such as weather, necromancy, birds, or emotions. This area should be smaller than a single art, but maybe spread across several arts. Ooh. Thus, if a magus with a focus on birds was casting a spell to turn a bird into a pure flame, you get a better score. Okay. Let's go with a major magical focus of some sort of animal. Maybe birds, because we have an animal companion that is a bird. So we have 2 more points to spend. Let's see. Or maybe we could just go for potent magic. What does that do? Magic is particularly attuned to a narrow field, much as in a magical focus. Okay. Let's stick with the major magical focus in birds. Right, okay. So that's our major hermetic virtue. We don't have any more than 5 minor flaws, that's fine. And we're doing okay on the number of points. So we're all good. We just need to spend these last 2 points. So we could maybe go for... Maybe we have an affinity with an art. Not sure that's super useful for us. Go for, what does the skilled parents do? That gives us extra points, I think, in something. Skilled parents. Your parents is more powerful or a better teacher than is common. You gain an additional 60 experience points and 30 spell levels during apprenticeship. Doesn't have any effects after apprenticeship, but you still have a close relationship with a powerful magus. Maybe. Aptitude for sin. What on earth? How is this a virtue? I have the virtue of being particularly good at lust. This catch-all virtue is for those minor effects which demons grant to their victims to allow them to sin more effectively, and so more often. Each aptitude for a particular sin adds +3 to all rolls in a very limited circumstance linked to the demon's obsession. As examples, characters may have aptitudes for picking pockets, for committing adultery skillfully, or for poisoning people. This is a virtue? I don't think that's a virtue. Okay, I can't be a book learner because I have my study requirement. I need to be with things to study them. Some of these have really great names that don't really tell you what they do at all. Like, what on earth is rat up a drain pipe? Using a mixture of acrobatics, climbing, and dodging, this character can run through urban areas as if unobstructed. This gives a substantial advantage in opposing athletics rolls, which represent being chased. Thinking something like study related or like being good at learning or something. So maybe clear thinker was one. Was educated. Probably not educated because that would be my character would need to start older, I think. Otherwise I don't really have time to go to a school. Clear thinker, you think logically and rationally, gain a +3 bonus on all rolls to resist lies, confusion, befuddlement, and subterfuge, whether magical or mundane. Let's go for common sense. Whenever you're about to do something contrary to what is sensible in the game setting, in common sense, the story guide alerts you to the error. This is an excellent virtue for a beginning player as it legitimizes any help the story guide may give. Normally I would just give that sort of help for free if a player is about to do something stupid that their character would know is kind of dumb, but I guess we got a virtue for it, so let's go for that. So we have one more minor virtue that we need to get. Let's go for the skilled parents, one from the minor hermetic. One. So just get extra points. Let's copy that over so we remember. We need a good name for this skilled parents, this skilled mentor we had. Dante. That's a Italian name. Sadly, our game is taking place just before, a few decades before the Dante was born. We have some sort of skilled, famous teacher. Okay, cool. Right, that's all of our virtues and flaws. Ah, right, yes, it has these suggested quick and easy ones that I totally forgot about. Oh well. Let's see what it suggests here. So take a major personality or story flaw that reflects the type of stories you want your character to be involved in, and deficient form in a form you're not interested in. Okay? Social status is Hermetic Magus. Choose a minor magical focus that does not rely on your deficient form. I have a major magical focus. Choose one technique that overlaps with your minor magical focus and take powerful and affinity in it. Okay, so this suggested character is much more like min-maxed, I guess. Yeah, okay. Maybe I do want to do that then, because I was just kind of like, I don't really know what to do with these last few. So let's have a look. Powerful and affinity. Your advancement totals for one Hermetic art are increased by 1/2, rounded up. A character creation and experience points you put in the art are also increased by 1/2. Okay, that sounds really good then. Let's replace common sense with affinity with art, and it's going to be animal. We are really good with animal magic. Copy that over. So we're not quite as min-maxed as this character unless we're going to take another floor. What does powerful do? You add 3 to the value of 1 art whenever you use it. Yeah, that's fine. I think let's stick with these virtues and flaws. And our characteristics. Okay. Right, here we go. So we have 7 points to spend. And then for spellcasting, yeah, stamina. Honestly, they're all good. There aren't really any like particularly bad ones. Like strength is not so important for a spellcaster, but intelligence is good for spellcasting. Obviously, stamina is good for like maintaining a spell that you're using. Communication you need if you want to write a book. Like presence if you're doing social things. We're not really doing social things with this character, so probably intelligence, stamina, and communication would be the main things to focus on for this character. So maybe we can just start with a +2 in these and then work out what we're doing after that. If you have bad communication, you can't write books. Okay, so we're already on -2 points. So we're gonna need to put we'll need to put either 2 -1s or a -2 somewhere. Probably we're not very strong, I don't think, so let's go for a -2 there. So we have 1 point. If we can put a +1 in something, then we'll have zeros in the rest. Let's... I'm not really sure which of these... If any of these are particularly good for spellcasting. Let's have a look at the reference guide. Spellcasting. Okay, right. Does it say... Okay, stamina. Yep, we got the stamina. Yeah, I guess stamina really is the main thing. Okay, if we're getting involved in magical duels, which I probably think we're not, we want quickness. Let's see. For Wizard's Twilight, we want stamina. Intelligence. Yeah, it really is intelligence and stamina that are the key things for actually doing magic, and then communication for writing books or teaching people. Hey, welcome. Things are going okay. Just trying to make a character for this very complicated system. And yes, I am religiously checking my audio before every stream now. Let's put a point in perception. Sure, why not? It could be useful, which means we'll then have a 0 in presence. People don't notice that we're even there. In dexterity and in quickness. Okay, I think that's our characteristics sorted. Next we have abilities. So we probably don't have a social childhood if we, radiate weird, disturbing magical energy waves. So probably maybe the exploring childhood here, where we've got area lore, athletics, awareness, language, stealth, and survival. Let's go with that. And since we are Italian, I suppose we have area lore, Alps, maybe. Maybe we're not from. Where's my little marker gone? I had a marker on the map. Oh well. Well, we were like our base is kind of like here or something. So maybe we're not from very far away. Or like northern Italy. Let's go for area lore, northern Italy. Not sure how useful such a highly specific skill would be, but whatever. We have a score of 2 in that. Did I copy over my... I've got rid of the skill table, so let's get that back. Okay, we'll need that. We also have athletics. Athletics 1. Awareness 1. Native language 5. So I guess we'll also need to put some skill points into learning German. If we are Italian but now living in Germany. Or Austria, I should say. But that'll happen after these initial skill points. Stealth 1 and survival 2. Oh, the alert works. I never noticed the alert for the redeems before because I've not actually tested that. That's just whatever the default Switch one is. But it's good to see that it works. And I shall indeed hydrate. I am drinking green tea today. Okay, that's our childhood. So then, let's say we went into... So I've put down that our character is 20. That means they went into their apprenticeship at 5 years old. We probably didn't become an apprentice at 5 years old. Let's say we became an apprentice at 10, so we have 5 years of skills and stuff. So that's 75 experience points to put into something. Maybe we'll put that in Italian, actually. Yeah, we'll get up to, if we're from, not Italian, German, Austrian. If we're from like northern Italy, just south of the Alps, it makes sense. We'd also be able to learn German. And then I don't need to worry about spending experience points on that later. All right, now we have our apprenticeship. So we get 240 experience points and 120 spell levels. Let's note those down. Spell levels, there's going to be a lot of consulting the book to work out what those spells are. but we can start with just the experience points at least. Let's see. The experience points can be spent on basically anything. Arts abilities, arcane, academic, and martial abilities. Okay. Sensible division is to spend 120 experience points on abilities and 120 on arts. And there are minimum requirements. So I guess we should buy the required stuff to start with, and then we can see what we've got left and work things out from there. So Ars Magica is an ability. We need Ars Magica 1, that costs 5 points. And it's at 120 on abilities and 120 on arts. Wow, we have 3 things and 120 on all of them. What an amazing coincidence. I'm sure this wasn't intentional at all. Okay. Right, so we have Ars Magica 1. And we can't really boost that up to Ars Magica 2 because this is the last thing you learn in your magic apprenticeship. So we only know the basics of it. We have Magic Theory 1. Just keep our languages together. And we'll also have Latin. That's another 5. We need Latin 4 at least. Let's just get Latin 5 so it's the same as our other languages. We're as good at Latin as we are at our native language. Okay, that's 85 points spent. And liberal arts 1 as well. Okay, that's 90 points spent, so we have 30 XP left on abilities. We might want to bump these up, but let's look at the full list of abilities and see if there's anything worth getting that we don't already have. Animal handling could be good if we're, a very animal-focused wizard. Concentration is also a good one because it helps with maintaining spells. Good academic abilities. Philosophy can be useful for magic as well. Finesse. There's lots of good skills. Finesse is good for doing like fine detail work with magic, which you might not need. Penetration is good for like attacking people with magic, for getting through their magic resistance, but I don't think we need that. So let's just get some 1s in a few basic things, and then we'll maybe bump things up. So let's get animal handling of 1. We can work out what sort of animals we're particularly good with later. We'll get concentration. So now on 100 points. We'll get Philosophy A. You can probably get away without penetration, but finesse is useful to have, so I'll get that as well. Okay, we have 10 points left to spend, which would be enough to raise one of these ones up to a 2. Which is probably worth doing rather than getting something else at level 1. So let's go for liberal arts. I think this is the most generally useful one. Okay, so that's all of our ability spent. Let's look at the sample characters and see what they're like. Okay, so we have a Botanist here. This person has Liberal Arts 1, Awareness 2, Charm 2. I've not gone for Charm because my character is a loner. Concentration 3. Okay, so that's a thing I'm definitely weak in. Folk Ken, Latin, Magic Law, Magic Theory. Oh, I only have 1 point in Magic Theory. I should have not done that. This person seems to have a lot more ability points than I do. This person is 25, despite looking like a aging gorilla in their picture. How did they get all these ability points? One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I have 13 different skills. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, I have 2 more skills than they do, so I guess that kind of explains part of it. They don't have Philosophy A. Maybe it's not that useful. Let me check what it's used for. I thought it was used for some of the spell casting. Philosophy A. Okay, it is used for ritual magic along with liberal arts than I thought. Okay, and it's also used in ceremonial magic, so it is useful for magic casting. But yeah, my magic theory of 1 is a bit low. I think it is worth bumping that up somehow. So maybe I don't bother with the finesse or the animal handling. Which should get me 10 more points, which then let me boost my magic theory up to 2. Yeah, let's go with that. So still not, not super optimized, but still okay. Right, okay, then I then have 120 XP to put into my magic arts. This is what being a wizard is all about. So advice I have seen is that in Ars Magica you really want to start the game with like a very specialized character. In fact, I think I noted something down to share with my players when I pitched an Ars Magica campaign to them. Oh, hang on. Is the minimum? Have I? Do I need more magic theory than I might have got? Actually, no. You need magic theory 1. Okay, cool. Right, yes. It's better to be good at a small number of arts than it is to be kind of equally bad at everything. So I have been told that you kind of want at least a 7 in like 2 of the arts. And basically getting an art under 5 at character creation is just pointless. Like, why would you do that? So the arts are much cheaper than the ability scores, so we can potentially do that. So let's say we want to get 28 in. So we want to get to level 7 in Animal. And I did intentionally pronounce it weirdly because this is the Latin word animal, not the English word animal. So we've got a 28 in Animal. Oh, 7 rather, for 20 XP. And I guess if we're dealing with animals, I'm not really sure what sort of animal magic I'm doing. Well, probably not. So Creo would be for like healing animals or conjuring animals out of thin air. Either of those things. Healing animals fits. Intelligo could be like talking with animals. Let's just look at our list of spells. Animal spells. Here we go. They affect null natural living things that are not plants or humans. So Creo Animal would be yes, giving an animal a bonus to a like recovery roll, or creating an animal product, creating an animal body, or creating like an actual animal, healing wounds, so on and so forth. Creating a magical being if you cast a really high level one. Raising an animal from the dead. Right, yes, you can. So, important thing about Ars Magica, because it is set in a world where it is medieval Europe, where all the myths are true, you cannot raise people from the dead, because that would mean you are somehow taking a soul that God has claimed and putting that soul back into a human body. But animals do not have souls, so you can raise an animal from the dead. Let's see, Intelligo Animal, that would be learning things about animals, speaking with animals, reading animals' thoughts, reading animals' memories. I feel that's maybe the sort of thing we're doing. Muto Animal is like making unnatural changes to an animal. So, for example, we have the, I don't know, level 20 spell Beast of Minuscule Proportions. Reduces the size of an animal by 2. This modifies strength by -4. Perdo is all about making things worse, like destroying things, causing damage, aging things, injuring things, inflicting wounds, and so on. I don't think I want that. That's not a nice thing to do to animals. Rego is controlling. So, let's see. There's an example. Soothe the ferocious bear. Calms an animal until it is threatened or aroused again. You must speak soothingly or musically to it, and something as simple as approaching it may arouse it again. Thinking probably Creo and Rego are my like big techniques. Not Creo, Intelligo and Rego are my big techniques. So let's bump these both up to 7 as well. So that's 84 points used. I don't want to be like entirely focused on animals. I want to have something else that I'm good at as well. Let's see, if I'm very outdoorsy, herbam, plants would make sense. Maybe I don't want to be as good at it as I am at animals. Maybe put put 15 XP in that to get it to level 5. We have we've used 99 points, so we've got 21 to go, which would let me get something to level 6. Or possibly like bump something up. So I could maybe bump up like my animal even higher. But I do like the idea of spending 36 points and just getting something somewhere. So let's go for Weem. This is for like meta magic stuff, which is always fun to have. This might be too hyper specialized, but let's have a look at the example characters. So here we have our Bonisagus, which is kind of what I've been using as an example. So they have Creo 12. We don't have any points in Creo. They have no points in Intelligo, but we have 7 in Intelligo. No points in Muto, no points in Perdo, 3 points in Rego. Okay. So if we're about as specialized as they are for techniques. And for forms, they've got Alram, Corpus. Yeah, that's it. Okay, apparently that is pretty standard then, just having like 2 or 3 of each type you're good at. What about some of the others, just to compare? So the Bjornair character, they have really bad Intelligo, Rego, and Perdo, but then very good Muto. Okay, so they're kind of a bit of a jack of all trades in techniques. And for forms, they're really good with Animal, Corpus, and yeah, that's it. Okay, so yes, our character is pretty specialized, but no more so than the sample characters, I suppose. So all looks fine. So that was our 120 XP in the arts. And we need 120 levels of spells. Back to character creation. Okay, picking up these spells is going to be... Latin. You need at least 5 Latin to write books. I picked 5 Latin. All good. Okay, cool. A magic theory score of below 3 is weak. Okay. In that case, I need to fix my magic theory. I need to bump this up to at least level 3. Let's see. What can I do here? I could maybe not be as amazing at Latin. Like, I speak Latin as fluently as my native language. If I dropped Latin down to level 4, that'd free up 25 XP. Which I could use to get my magic theory up to level 20, 40. Yeah, I'd have level 3 magic theory and 10 points left over. Okay, let's knock Latin down to 4. So 25 XP, then magic theory will bump this up to 3. Then 10 XP. If a magic theory below 3 is weak, it'd be nice to be even more than 3, but I'm not sure I can shuffle things around to get to that. I could raise something from level 1 to level 2. So, like, my concentration. I think concentration is a good thing to have points in. Philosophy A is also useful, but let's go for concentration. Okay, I think that's all the points used up. Right, so we're not going to do any after apprenticeship stuff because we are fresh out of our apprenticeship. Okay, let's whiz through the rest of character creation, and then we'll come back to the spells once we've got this done. So we need personality, We don't have a reputation. We have our confidence points, and we start with reasonable equipment. So actually, it's just the personality we need to work out, I think. Yeah, okay, personality. Our character is very shy. Shy +3. Studious, I suppose, taking a leaf from this character. Let's go for a +2 in that, sure. And something about with animals, because that's kind of the character's whole deal. They like animals and work with animals. Personality, animals. Likes animals. These personality traits can be anything. It's kind of like a prompt for roleplay. Likes animals +2. So they're more shy than they like animals. So if they need to, actually no, let's go for a +3 there. They are as shy as much as they like animals. So maybe if they have to make a choice between talking to someone and meeting a new animal, or if they have to talk to someone to meet a new animal, it could go either way. Don't know. Okay, right. So we need to pick up loads of. Ooh, we also picked affinity with animals. So we have an extra 50% of these. We have an extra 14 XP in animal. Okay. That's 42 there. Which brings us to... Okay, level 8 animal. Not quite level 9. But that's the affinity with art done. And we have skilled parents. Gain an additional 60 experience points and 30 spell levels during apprenticeship. Okay, right. 150 spell levels and okay, 60 XP. I guess we could bump animal up a little bit. We could get it to level 9 animal. I think it's worth it for the cost of 3 XP. Of which we gain another half. So I guess we only need to put in 2 experience points. Then we get an extra half experience, half of that. Yeah, okay. So we've got 58 experience points to spend on things, and suddenly things aren't quite so tight here. Okay, 58. That's an awkward number. So I guess I could bump my Latin back up to 5. So that's 33 points left. My magic theory, it'd be nice to get that up, perhaps. So I currently have level 3 magic theory. It costs another 20 points to raise it. Yeah, let's do that. So we have level 4 magic theory. Now we have 13 points left. We could get our philosophy A. We can get to level 2. So that's 3 experience points left. Let's just put those in liberal arts, and they'll count a little bit towards getting to level 3. Okay, I think that's these things sorted out. Right, 150 levels of spells. It's going to be a lot of consulting the book to work out what these spells are. I'm just going to step away for a moment, and then we can work out what magic our character actually has. Wow, it's like I'm living in the world of Ars Magica. There's a blue tit in my garden right now, perched on the edge of the bird bath. I am the animal wizard. Okay, right, let's work out what spells we've got. We have 150 levels of spells. Are there any restrictions on these? Doesn't look like it. Nope. Yeah, it doesn't say there's anything beyond the total levels of spells. So let's go to the spells. And so spells in Ars Magica. So the way spells are presented, for each type of spells, like Creo Animal in this case, we have a guideline of like what a spell of a given level could do. To actually turn that into a spell, you need to kind of work out the details of it, like what specifically are we doing here, and these levels are given at kind of like the smallest the spell could possibly be. So like touch, range, and like short duration and whatnot. And so the level of the spell might go up if you want it to. If you want to be able to, affect things that are within the range of your voice, or have the spell last for a longer period of time, and so on. And so there's actually quite a bit of working out involved in getting these spells done. However, we are 2 hours and 50 minutes into the stream, and I don't want to spend like another 2 hours and 50 minutes working out spells. So I'm probably just going to look at the like sample spells that are provided in the book, which kind of already have all this thing kind of worked out, rather than working out my own spells. But in principle, you can create basically any magic effects that you want in Ars Magica, as long as it fits in with like a medieval Aristotelian view of how the universe works, which is that the Earth is the center of the universe, and it is surrounded by a layer of crystal spheres put there by God himself, with stars embedded in the spheres, and so on and so forth. So I guess you can't quite create every magical effect, but you can get somewhat close. So it's also helpful at this point to point out the limits of magic, which come directly from this worldview. Limits of magic. So there are two big limits. The limits of the divine. You cannot affect God. He is beyond magic. He can directly intervene to just break any magic at all. The agents of God, such as saints and angels, all have like very high magic protection. They're not completely immune from magic, but God himself can just choose to intervene to make them immune to magic. That's generally not really a big problem, unless you annoy the church, and then a bunch of like divinely protected crusaders or whatnot come after you. The other is the limits of essential nature. So any magic which violates a thing's essential nature has to be continuously maintained, and when the spell ends, the thing kind of snaps back to how it was. So this mostly applies to the difference between Muto and Rego magic. So Muto is kind of for making unnatural changes to things. Rego is for making natural changes to things. If you want a animal to grow a third eye, that would be Muto. If you want it to fall asleep, like close its eyes, that would be Rego. Things can naturally fall asleep, so that doesn't need like continuous magic power to maintain. Things don't naturally have 3 eyes, so that would require continuous magic power to maintain. I did once try working out like a metaphysical theory of how things could work in this universe, based on like what the various forms of magic do and like how the limits work, and using some ideas from like Plato's theory of forms, which is a big part of the setting. I came up with a rough idea. I'm not sure if it's useful, so not really going to go into that. Other limits of magic. You cannot halt or reverse natural aging, but you can slow it down. So in practice, most Magi live a really long time. You can't affect something that you're unable to sense unless you have an arcane connection to that thing. So this would be your, a classic example of like collecting someone's like fingernail clippings or hair to be able to target them with magic at a range. You can't create anything permanently without expending raw whis, which is kind of the physical magical power. If you want to create something without using that, you have to sustain the spell, and the thing will go away at the end. You can't restore fatigue levels or confidence points. This is obviously just a game balancing thing rather than like a in-setting justification. So these points, these are only given out at the discretion of the game master. You can't create like knowledge in a person's mind. You can't so you can't like increase someone's ability score through magic. This is obviously also another game balancing thing. Like you can't just magic yourself to be really good at something, but it says this is widely believed to be a flaw in hermetic theory. So maybe you could, like in a game you run, you could have a player character work out a way to get around this problem, and so like imbue skills in people directly. That could be a fun thing to do. The limit of the infernal. Intelligo magic, which is actually something I'm pretty good at, is completely useless against demons, because demons are kind of deception incarnate. They can make you believe whatever they want you to believe. The limit of the lunar sphere. Magic cannot affect the lunar sphere or anything above it, because the world, as we all know, in fact, let's find the picture. It's a very famous picture, a very famous engraving. Let's get this up and put it over here. This is what the experience of playing Ars Magica should feel like. But anyway, you can see we have this great sphere. This is one of the crystal spheres that surrounds the Earth, in which the stars are embedded and the moon and such like, and the moon is at the innermost crystal sphere. So you can't affect that or anything beyond it with magic. And finally, hermetic magic cannot create an immortal soul or restore the dead to life. So there's more limits on the next page. You can't alter the passage of time. You can't affect an emotion that is conveyed by a virtue or a flaw. This also feels like a game balancing thing. And a few others. So there are limits on what magic can do, but the big two are you can't touch God, and you can't fundamentally change something without supplying continuous power. So let's pick some spells for our character. We have 150 levels of spells to work out. We should be over here. I feel this list isn't going to be enough. I'm just going to put a list of spells. Let's just have a text box with background color so we can actually read this. Right, so animal spells. I think soothe pains of the beast kind of fits our character. This spell looks much like a ritualistic laying on hands seen in many churches. You kneel and press your hands to the wound while reciting a quiet incantation. The spell cures one light wound suffered by the animal. Aceron of Flambeau believes his mission in life is to repopulate the world. There'll be more to kill, and thus spend seasons healing animals and people throughout Europe. That's not very nice. Okay. This needs to be a much bigger text box. And what happened to my background color? Let's just make the whole text box white. There we go. So that's 20 levels. Maybe it won't take that long to work out 150 levels of spells after all, actually. Yeah, a healing spell makes sense. We also got True Rest of the Injured Brute. The injured target gains a +9 bonus to all recovery rolls. I don't know. We've already got one animal healing spell. And I think we won't just want animal spells. That we're also okay at Herbam and Weem, so we'll get mostly animal spells, but we'll save some for other things. And we should also note down this is a cryo animal spell. Okay. There's not much in the way of Intelligo Animal. We only have a few examples. Let's go for opening the tome of the animal's mind. You touch the head of the animal in question and read its memories of the past day. The further the animal is from human, the harder it is to read memories accurately. Okay. Yep. And you kind of get things in the order that the animal considers most important. This is a level 25 in-am spell. So I've already used 45 of our 150 points. Okay. Though that is a cryo. I did pick a cryo spell. I'm not very good at cryo. So it'd actually be hard for me to cast Soothe the Pains of the Beast. But I think that's fine. Let's go for a Rego Animal and then we'll move on to another form. Circle of Beast Warding makes sense. The caster inscribes a circle that no normal beast will cross. You know, we like animals, but some of them are dangerous and they may not like us. That's 50 points used. We'll go for Soothe the Ferocious Bear. Also works against non-bear animals. And this one sounds cool. Commanding the Harnessed Beast. You implant a complicated command into an animal, which it carries out to the best of its abilities. The command must involve completing a certain task, such as finding a certain person. Vague orders like protect me do not work. If the animal does not complete the task before the end of the spell approaches, it becomes dangerous, becomes desperately ferocious, especially at night. Okay, that's not a great ending to the spell. Maybe we'd have our own version of that spell, which doesn't have that, ferocity thing. Okay, that's 90 points of spells. We only have 60 left, and we have 2 more forms to go. We've got Herbam and Weem. And we definitely want at least some in each, otherwise there's no point having these things. We may as well put the points in other stuff. Okay, Herbam. I think probably just Rego, Herbam. Something that can like part plants, so that we can move through safely, that sort of thing. None of these look really what I want. What about guidelines here? Yeah, the level 4 guideline is control an entire plant, moving it around 2 directs, though it remains rooted if it is a rooted plant. So that's kind of what I want. So I guess kind of like Strike of the Angered Branch, but, not as an attacking spell. So Strike of the Angered Branch causes a large tree branch to swing at a target. The branch's attack score is equal to your perception plus finesse plus damage. You may strike repeatedly with the branch, striking once per round for as long as the spell lasts. So we don't really want that. I kind of want a spell where I can, if I'm walking through a tangled forest, I can like command the vines and branches and things to kind of move and let me through. But it is the same sort of effect. guess the coils of the entangling plants is maybe slightly closer. Animates all the grass and small plants within a field delineated from side to side by your outstretched arms and in front by no more than 15 paces. The plants grab and wrap themselves around the people nearest to them. Okay, so it's kind of moving a bunch of plants in a way that I'd choose. Yes, let's go for that. So we'll have... oops, didn't note down what these were. Those are all ray and spells. So we've got a level 20 Rago Herbam spell, which I will call Part the Tangled Forest, which is coils the entangling plants, but it just kind of moves them out of the way. And the reason this is a level 20 spell, whereas attacking someone with the tree branch is a level 15 spell, is because coils of the entangling plants, it affects a group of plants, which is a bigger target, so the spell needs to be more powerful, whereas just moving a tree branch, that is affecting part of a single plant. So we can see kind of the breakdown of how these things are determined. So Strike of the Angered Branch, the base effects from the guidelines is +3, which I guess that is control an amount of wood or manipulate items made of plant products. +2 because it is voice range, +1 because it is concentration duration, and +1 because it is a part target rather than an individual target. Whereas for Coils of the Entangling Plants, it is all the same other than the target, which is +2 because it is a group target. Okay, we have 40 points left, and we want some Weem spells. Either Intelligo or Rago. Okay, Intelligo Weem. So we can sense scrying. We can sense if we're in a magical aura. That sounds useful. Detect spells. Okay, maybe Rago is slightly more useful. Okay, so the big Rago Weem spell, which everyone needs in Ars Magica, is Aegis of the Hearth, which is this one here. This essentially creates a magical barrier around a large place. And so typically in an Ars Magica game, like the first thing you would do is if you've built your Covenant, which is our, let's have it like a top-down view of our tower. So we've got the tower with the battlements. We've got like a few other like outlying buildings and things. And the whole thing is kind of surrounded by a wall with a gatehouse. And there's like some fields and stuff. And we've already determined there's a dragon. So, oh god, I can't draw a dragon. There's a dragon as well. You don't want the dragon to get into your Covenant, so what do you do? On like the winter solstice, because that's a cool, auspicious day, all the Magi of the Covenants all kind of get together and walk around the boundary of the Covenant in like a big procession, casting Aegis of the Hearth at as high a level as they can manage. And this spell will prevent the dragon from getting in. It will try to get in, it will bounce off, and unless it's sufficiently powerful, and everything inside is protected for the year. So you definitely need Aegis of the Hearth. Oh god, it's such a long and complicated spell. It also affects like other people casting spells inside the warded area. Let's see, what else have we got? Warding against demons and so on. Yep. Maybe I just take a... Let's see, what's the highest level Aegis of the Hearth I could cast? What is my Rago Weem casting total? See the reference guide. Casting, score, technique. So I would have a 7 plus my form, which is an 8. Yep. Okay. Plus my stamina. Did I have stamina? Yep, I have 2 stamina. Okay. 17. Minus my encumbrance. I'm not encumbered. Plus the aura modifier. We have an aura of 5 here. So you start with 3, and we've got 2 levels of aura. Okay, so that's a 22 casting score. And then Aegis of the Hearth is a ritual spell, so we'd look at the ritual magic, so the casting score plus liberal arts, plus philosophy, and then plus a die. Okay, so my casting score for Aegis of the Hearth starts at 26. So it starts at 26, then what do we do for ritual spellcasting? I think I need to read this more carefully to understand actually what I'm doing. Let's just say I can take a level 20 Aegis of the Hearth, because you don't want to take the max level you can cast, because you need to kind of leave excess points over to get through people's magic resistance. So let's go for a 20 Rhaego Weem Aegis of the Hearth. And then I have 20 more points, which will be my last spell. These are all general level spells, which you can take them at different levels, and they kind of do things. Let's go for. Let's see. We had some good Intelligo ones, I think. Sense of Magical Power. Got 18 points left. I think we're not going to use up all these points. We'll take Sense the Nature of Whis, which is level 5. Then do we have like another small spell, perhaps? Let's go for a level 10 Watching Ward, which kind of lets you cast a spell to be triggered. And that's pretty much all of our spell levels used up. We have 3 spell levels left over, but it's not really worth worrying about. Okay, we have a character. So let's just summarize what we got here. So we have got a Covenant based in the Austrian side of the Alps. It is in a castle situated on a like near a mountain pass, easily accessible from that. It is a spring covenant, so it is like relatively recently established. We're not like living in tents in the field yet. We do have at the moment. We do have like an actual castle that we live in, but we're still pretty new. We have a good like powerful magic aura here, which helps the spell casting. There's a lot of animals around, like birds and things. There's also a dragon nearby, which is not so great. We're relatively poor, but we have decent supplies for like a new wizard community, and we have at least 2 inhabitants. We have the Italian Marga Beatrice, who is 25 years old. She is of House Bonissagus, which is kind of the magic research group. She generally has pretty good skills in kind of all the core magic things. She does suffer the normal standard effects of like the gift of magic making everyone hate you, but she is fortunate enough that animals are not bothered by her specific expression of the gift, and kind of capitalizing on this, she's also particularly good at magic involving birds and just animals in general. She was fortunate enough to have a skilled teacher, which meant she kind of finished her apprenticeship with a bit more knowledge than most. But kind of she's very shy, very soft-hearted, can't bear to see suffering, and is also very hands-on. She needs to like go out in nature and be with things in order to like study and practice magic. She's generally good at magic, animal magic, and has a little bit of plant magic and like meta magic, but not much. And her companion, we don't really know how they met or why they're working together right now, is a Austrian knight, Sir Conrad. He is 29. He is a pagan who has a fairy companion somehow. He is also an albino, so he kind of stands out a bit and is shunned a bit because of that. But he is a knight and has lightning reflexes and is pretty quick, pretty strong. He carries around a longsword and a heater shield, and I guess fights things. And that's who we got. So I was very ambitious, thinking, oh, maybe we'll get through like 3 pairs of characters. No, definitely not. But yeah, that's that. That's a bit of Ars Magica character creation. I think we did speed up when we got to our second character. It was working through all the abilities for the first character that was a real pain, and the virtues and flaws. But then for the second character, I felt it did go a bit more smoothly. So it's the sort of thing you just need to practice, I think. Right, so that's it for streams for this week. So next week will be a little bit shorter. I won't be doing a stream on Saturday next week, because I'll be hanging out with friends and going to an escape room. But we will have the Monday and Friday streams next week. Monday will be some sort of one-shot. I'm not sure what yet. I'm thinking maybe a game of Doom Pilgrim. And Friday will be continuing the Iron Sworn campaign. And then something I'm going to look at, I think, probably the Saturday the week after, whenever that is. So that would be the 4th of July. I'm going to have a look at a new system. Well, not exactly a new system. A system I've picked up that's new to me, Rift Breakers, which is apparently quite good. It is by the same author as Kenneth Alice and Across a Thousand Dead Worlds and a bunch of other things. So I'll be kind of looking into this in not next Saturday, but the following Saturday. I'll kind of learn a bit about the basics of this system. Yep, that is it. So thanks for watching. Have a good rest of your Saturday, and see you next time.